The story begins at a port in Thailand, where we see a huge truck crashing into another vehicle from the side. Inside the truck, we discover that Cole, the main character, is trapped. But to understand how we ended up in this situation, we go back a few days earlier. We learn that Cole works as a bodyguard for a wealthy businessman named Thibaut. He tells them that he is a self-made businessman who started with a small boat in the sea before building the largest shipping company in the world. After that, Cole congratulates Cameron, Thibault's son, on the new company and takes them to the mansion. When they arrive, Thibault asks Cole to finish what he has to do and come back because he needs him for something important. Cole then goes to the mansion's security room and makes sure everything is under control. Later, Cole sits with his boss and they play chess while talking together. From their conversation, we learn that Cole was a former Navy officer and that he was offered a suspicious job, but he refused. Because of that, he ended up in prison. Thibault then asks him if there is any chance he could become a Navy officer again. However, Cole realizes that it is no longer possible. In the end, Thibault defeats Cole in the chess game. The next day, Thibault has a very important meeting because he is going to sell his company. Cole stands outside the meeting room to provide security, carefully watching everyone's actions. He becomes suspicious of one person and keeps following him from a distance. He discovers that the man is a businessman from another company named Duran. Meanwhile, Tehran notices that Cole is watching his every move. At that moment, Thibault begins his speech in front of everyone. He tells them that his company has been #1 for the past 40 years. Then he introduces his son Cameron and thanks him for his efforts in helping the company succeed. After that, Thibault gives his son an expensive watch as a gift. Then he calls Cole over and gives him a watch as well. The watch has a date engraved on it, and Thibault explains to everyone that this is the day Cole saved his life about 5 years ago while working for him. Since then, Cole has become a member of the family. After that, Thibault gets into the car with Cole, and it is clear that something is bothering him. Cole asks him, "If you are this upset, then why did you sell the company?" Thibault explains that his son Cameron is not interested in working in the shipping business. He also says that he is getting older and wants his son to work in something he truly enjoys. While they are driving, they find the road blocked by the police, but Cole immediately feels that something is wrong. When he decides to turn back, another vehicle suddenly blocks their way, confirming that it is a trap set for them. Suddenly, several people get out of a car and open fire on Thibault's vehicle. Cole quickly drives away while shooting back at the attackers with his gun. Then he gets out and takes down everyone there. However, he discovers that Thibault has been hit by bullets. Before he dies, Thibault asks Cole to take care of his son Cameron. Moments later, Thibault passes away. At that moment, Cole calls Tehran, the security employee, and asks him about Cameron. Tehran tells him that Cameron has already arrived home. Cole tells him that they were attacked and that Thibault was killed. Tehran tells him to call the police, but Cole explains that the police are involved in what happened. When he opens one of the attackers' vehicles, he finds an American passport belonging to a man named Jonathan. He gives Tehran the passport number and asks him to find out who this person is. When Tehran searches for him, he is shocked to discover that Jonathan is actually one of the employees working for Thibault's company. He also finds out that Jonathan was heading to one of the company's cargo ships, and that the ship will leave the port in 2 hours. Because of that, Cole decides to go to the port to discover who is behind the attack against them. Meanwhile, we return to Duran. One of his men arrives and informs him about Thibault's death, but he also tells him that Cole managed to take down all of their men. Duran immediately orders him to eliminate Cole. After that, we meet Alice, who works as an assistant captain on one of the company's ships. She sees the news about Thibault's murder on television. The shocking part is that the police are accusing Cole of killing Thibault and warning people about how dangerous he is because they still have not captured him. At that moment, Alice receives a phone call from her manager, who tells her that she has to come immediately because one of their ships is missing part of its crew. Alice tries to avoid going because she is supposed to be on vacation, but her manager tells her that if she does not show up, she can consider herself fired. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, a police detective arrives to speak with Cameron. He informs him about his father's death and tells him that he needs to ask him a few questions. At the same time, Cole calls Cameron, who has already reached the port. Cole apologizes for failing to protect his father and tells him that he is not the killer like the police claim. He warns him to be careful because whoever killed his father will try to kill him as well. After that, Cole decides to take the identity of one of the attackers who was killed. Luckily for him, the man looks very similar to him, so the employee checking the documents believes that Cole is the person in the photo and lets him pass. Cole then gets onto the company's ship because he wants to find any information that could lead him to the person who killed Thibault. Later, we see Marco, the ship's captain, watching the news from the control room. At that moment, his assistant Tayo enters with Alice, the other assistant captain, but Marco tells her that he does not need any extra assistance. Alice explains that her manager was the one who ordered her to come. Because of that, the captain has no choice but to welcome her and orders his assistant to take her to her room. However, it becomes clear that Marco is not happy about Alice being on the ship. We return to Cole, who tries to stay out of sight. He enters a small room and locks himself inside, waiting until the ship leaves so he can figure out his next move. Soon after, the ship starts moving away from the port. At that moment, Cole leaves the room and begins searching for anything that could help him. He notices Alice getting closer, so he quickly hides. But Alice senses that something is moving nearby. When she gets closer, she finds a staircase leading to the lower deck and goes down to discover the source of the noise. Meanwhile, Cole is standing near a container, trying to break the lock and open it. When he finally gets inside, he is shocked to find many people trapped inside. He approaches them and asks what brought them there. They tell him that they have been kidnapped. Cole promises that he will help them escape and then leaves when he senses that Alice has arrived. Alice opens the container after finding that the lock has already been broken, and she is shocked when she sees the people inside as well. She immediately helps them get out so she can provide them with assistance. When her colleague Joseph arrives, she asks him to stay with the kidnapped people while she goes to the captain and informs him about what happened. Alice goes to Marco and tells him everything she saw. She explains that these people are in terrible condition and need medical help, and she tells him that they have to contact the Navy. However, Captain Marco starts acting nervous. He tells her that they need to find out who these people are first before contacting the Navy. Then he calls his men and orders them to guard the kidnapped people. At that moment, Alice feels that something is wrong, but she manages to escape from the captain. Meanwhile, we return to Cole, who watches the kidnapped people from a distance. Joseph raises his gun at them and orders them to go back inside the container. When one of them tries to escape, he grabs her. Suddenly, Cole appears and attacks him. Joseph pulls out a knife to kill Cole, but Cole manages to block his attacks. With a quick move, Cole stabs the knife into Joseph's face. He then finds a gun on the ground, takes it, and uses it to eliminate the rest of the attackers. After that, Cole tells the kidnapped people to follow him until he gets them to the rescue boat. Meanwhile, Alice goes to the control room and tells Matthew to contact the Navy immediately, but she is shocked when he points a weapon at her and reports to Captain Marco through the radio that he has her under control. Alice manages to fight back and knocks him to the ground. She sends a distress signal to the Navy and escapes before the captain reaches her. However, Marco sees her from above and opens fire. One of the bullets hits Alice in the shoulder. At the same time, Cole reaches the rescue boat and helps the kidnapped people get on board so they can return to their country. He also gives one of them a gun to protect the others. After that, we see a Navy ship. The commander is informed that they received a distress signal from a cargo ship reporting an attack. They try to contact the ship through the radio. Captain Marco answers and tells them that they thought they were being attacked by pirates, but they later discovered it was just a fishing boat. He assures them that there is no longer any problem and apologizes for the mistake. However, the Navy commander feels that something is wrong. Later, we return to Cole, who senses someone approaching him. It turns out to be Alice. He stops her and tells her that she needs to trust him. He takes her into a room so nobody can see them and reveals that he is not part of the ship's crew. Alice tells him about the kidnapped people she found and explains that they have to help them. She also reveals that Captain Marco shot her. Cole tells her that they need to treat her wound quickly, so he takes her to the first aid room. The sound of the engines there is extremely loud, so they wear headphones to hear each other while he treats her injury. While Cole is removing the bullet from her shoulder, Alice tells him that she saw on the news that he is wanted and on the run. Cole then asks her to talk about anything so she does not focus on the pain. Alice tells him that she is divorced and has a young daughter, but because of her job circumstances, she cannot spend time with her. Finally, Cole manages to remove the bullet from her shoulder and the two of them leave the room. The captain's men spread throughout the ship as they search for Alice and the unknown person who killed some of their men near the container. They also ask Alice if Cole really killed Thibaut, just like the news reported. Cole says it's a lie. After that, Cole and Alice go down to the lower part of the ship where they set fire to the electrical transformer. When the captain learns that there is a fire, he sends his men to handle the situation. The captain takes a weapon and goes out to search for Alice and the person with her. He heads to the highest tower on the ship. Meanwhile, Cole and Alice reach the control room. Cole takes down one of the captain's men and Alice sends another distress signal. The captain's men report through the radio that they have controlled the fire. He orders them to return to the control room, but when they look at the cameras, they see Cole and Alice there. The captain immediately orders his men to move quickly and eliminate them. One of the men arrives carrying a machine gun, but Cole manages to take him down. At that moment, the Navy commander responds to Alice. She tells him that they need support as quickly as possible because the captain is running a human trafficking operation on the ship and that he and Cole are trying to kill her. She also gives them their exact location. Before leaving, Cole leaves the radio device open inside the room. Then he and Alice go to hide in her room until the Navy forces arrive. Later, Captain Marco and his men reach the control room and find their teammate dead on the floor. Cole listens to their conversation through the radio device he left open. He discovers that after 2 hours, another boat will arrive to take the kidnapped people they are holding. Then he hears the captain talking to Duran. They blame each other because they failed to kill Cole along with Thibault. Cole learns that Duran knows he is on the ship, but they still cannot get rid of him. The biggest shock comes when Cole discovers that Cameron, Thibault's son, is involved in the human trafficking operation. Cole tells Alice that they have to move. They leave the room and head toward a ventilation opening that leads to the lower decks so they can check on the kidnapped people after learning that they were captured before they could escape on the rescue boat. Meanwhile, aboard the Navy ship, the officers investigate Captain Marco. They discover that he has a history of human trafficking charges. They also find out that Cole, who is with Alice, is accused of killing Thibault and one of the police officers. Back to Cole, who starts climbing down through the ventilation shaft, but Alice notices someone approaching them and warns Cole. She quickly escapes, and the moment the attackers get closer, Cole opens fire at them. Suddenly, the rope gets cut and Cole falls down. However, he manages to stop himself quickly. The gang members below hear movement and start shooting toward the ventilation opening, but Cole manages to escape from it. Alice tries to escape as well, but Matthew sees her and shoots her. He captures her and takes her to Marco. The captain orders his men to keep an eye on her until he finishes his mission, then he goes out to search for Cole. Meanwhile, the Navy commander receives a report about Cole. He learns that Cole was born in London, that he served as a Navy officer, and that he received many awards. He also discovers that Cole's father was a Navy officer as well and was killed while trying to save him during a mission. At the same time, the Navy forces prepare themselves and board their boats, heading toward the cargo ship. Meanwhile, Captain Marco continues searching for Cole and discovers that he is inside the ventilation system. He forces him out and locks the entrance from the outside. Then he tells his men that Cole is trapped. Cole tries to open the door, but he fails. He decides to escape through the ventilation opening he used earlier, but he finds it blocked by a metal grate. Cole removes the watch that Thibault gave him and uses it to loosen the screws holding the metal grate. After some effort, he manages to break free. At that moment, the boat carrying the other gang members arrives to take the kidnapped people. They gather everyone inside a room to prepare for the exchange. We then see Cole, who manages to take down one of the attackers and takes his weapon. Anyone from the gang who gets in his way, Cole eliminates. Alice also manages to free her hands using a piece of broken glass. She grabs a weapon and starts shooting at Marco's men. The human trafficking gang members hear the gunfire outside. They point their weapons at the captain and his men, but Marco explains that there is a stranger on the ship and they need to eliminate him as quickly as possible. Marco's men start searching for Cole again. Suddenly, Cole appears and takes them down with a machine gun. Marco arrives and the two exchange gunfire, but Cole's weapon runs out of ammunition. He grabs an axe and prepares to attack. Then the leader of the other gang arrives and hits Cole in the head with it. Marco's weapon also runs out of ammunition, so he attacks Cole directly. The two fight fiercely, and Marco manages to stab a knife into Cole's shoulder. Marco grabs the axe and prepares to finish him off. Cole tries to avoid his attacks as they fight on the ship's stairs. Suddenly, Cole jumps from the stairs, grabs onto a rope, and drives the knife into Marco's leg. He pulls him down, causing both of them to fall. As Cole looks around, he notices a hunting arrow. He grabs it and shoots Marco directly in the head, finally taking him down. After that, the Navy forces arrive and arrest Cole. Then Alice comes to them and explains that he is just a worker on the ship and that he was the one who saved her and the kidnapped people. The officer asks her, "So, this isn't Cole?" She tells him no and explains that Cole was actually there, but he was shot and fell into the sea. At that moment, they check on the kidnapped people, provide them with medical care, and then go to thank Cole for his help. Alice asks Cole what he is going to do now. Cole tells her that he is going to Thailand to take revenge on the person who killed Thibault. Alice still has Captain Marco's phone with her, and Cole takes a number from it that Marco used to call repeatedly. After that, Cole takes the gang's boat and escapes. Meanwhile, the Navy commander contacts the officer on the cargo ship and asks him about Cole. The officer tells him that Cole was killed, his body is missing, and the only people left are Alice and an unidentified worker. The commander realizes that this unidentified person is actually Cole. The officer asks if he wants them to arrest him, but the commander believes that Cole is innocent and decides to let him go. Later, Cole calls his friend at Thibault's mansion and gives him the number he took from Captain Marco's phone. His friend discovers that the number belongs to Duran. At that moment, Cole confirms that Duran is the one behind Thibault's murder. The next day, Cameron is standing at his father's grave. When he gets into his car, he finds Cole waiting for him. Cameron admits that he got involved with those gangs against his will and that he did not know they were involved in human trafficking through their prison ships. He explains that he decided to sell the company to get rid of all these problems. Cole tells him that Duran was the reason his father was killed, then he leaves. At night, we see Duran sitting inside his car. Suddenly, another vehicle crashes into him from the side. Cole gets out and takes down the gang members. Then he pulls Duran out and asks him why he killed Thibault. Duran explains that Thibault was threatening his illegal business interests. He then tries to convince Cole to let him go in exchange for a large amount of money, but Cole shoots him and finishes him off. And that's how the movie ends.